Good morning and welcome to the Monday Morning Marketing Podcast. I'm Esther.
And I'm Melanie.
And today we're joined by Ben Moore of Ben Moore Media to talk about Twitter strategies. Welcome, Ben.
Thank you very much for having me, Esther and Melanie.
And if you speak with an English accent, it's not Ben Moore, it's Ben Moore.
Yes, but Ben's from Dublin, so he doesn't mind what accent it's spoken in.
Exactly.
But it might be more helpful to find him online if you pronounce it differently. Anyway, Ben, we're talking Twitter, and you were the first person that came to mind whenever we were thinking about Twitter strategies, because you have been using the platform since its inception, really, haven't you?
No, well, not quite, but I've been using.
No, you're too young for that.
No, since his inception.
I have been using it since 2012 to represent businesses, though. So I have seen a lot of changes and have had to adapt with those changes to while representing my clients.
Okay. So one of the questions that a lot of people would still ask is, what sort of businesses should be on Twitter?
Okay, well, from my point of view, I don't see any barriers for any business sectors to not be on Twitter, because there are so many different. Because there are so many people on Twitter, and all types of people. You can always find your niche. So I don't see even to have a Twitter presence for any business, as long as it's maintained professionally, properly, with the right tone and the right approach, it's not going to hurt your business. You'll be able to make more connections. You'll be able to reach potential clients or build relationships, and which would lead on to referrals, etc.
Because you can even get, over here in Ireland, we've got Garda Traffic. So it's open to literally anybody. We've seen courts on there, we've seen prisons, we've seen solicitors, we've seen GPs. They all get represented, but obviously they're all treated in a slightly different way, I would assume then. Exactly.
Like, for instance, the brand, what you were just saying, from Garda Traffic to Mr. Tato, everybody's there. So anybody, even supermarkets like Lidl have flourished on Twitter as well, when they've used particular incidences to their advantage. But I just feel that having a Twitter account, as I said, as long as it's maintained in a professional manner, it will be. It is a very good way of presenting your brand online and feeding content, feeding your content to an appropriate audience.
Now, I like the way you keep on referring to professional, maintain a professional air, and complaining to Airtricity or complaining to Dunnes Stores or to Ryanair as your brand is not preferable, is it?
Exactly. That's a very good point. Or anything, we're getting involved, if, for instance, in political conversations as your brand, as I've seen over the years, many brands getting involved with inappropriate conversations. What are they? I often question to myself, what are they trying to achieve here?
Yeah.
Unless the brand has a political affiliation, then that's a different attitude. But like just a random brand giving out about comments a minister has made, or a department has, or a report a department has put out, that really should be constrained to your own personal account if you want to do it that way.
That's what I was going to say. Use a personal account that maybe has no links at all, even to your professional brand. So I had a personal account and it got shut down for some reason. Around the same time that everybody got kicked off Twitter because a certain former president. We won't go into that. But
Okay.
when he got kicked off of Twitter, I also got kicked off of Twitter, and they won't let me back in for some reason. Anyway,
that is strange.
It is very strange, and I have appealed it, and I just can't get them.
Because your own Twitter account, you weren't in any way particularly reactionary. In any way, you were following what I have just been speaking about.
Yeah.
You were always appropriate and engaging and interesting and funny. And there's
I wouldn't go as far as that.
No, Melanie's the funny one, funny looking. But yeah, the business brand one is still there, but it's my own personal one that has disappeared. So I can't complain anymore.
And also, you in recent years, you haven't used it that much.
No, I haven't.
Which is anyway, we're
digressing. Yeah, we are.
As if we would digress.
No, never,
really.
never happens on this podcast. So Ben, you do a lot of tweeting for businesses on their behalf as their brand manager. And you've got a good number of Twitter strategies that they can follow, and other brands can also follow them as well. So do you want to give us just a couple of tips there?
Sure. Well, just to go back to what I was saying for a moment, which leads into this, is that when I started being active on Twitter through my own account 10 years ago, I noticed that brands were making huge mistakes, as we have just outlined. And I thought, you know what? I could do this better for a brand. They don't understand the, how to act online, what one throwaway comment can actually damage could damage your brand. So what I sat down and I set out an approach that is a similar approach for all brands, but once you put in the brand voice and the brand content, it comes across as differently. So I actually have the same approach to all brands, but each brand has different values, has different ways. People, for instance, my clients would be a different personality and has a different way of approaching how they run their business. So that all affects how I run their Twitter account, because it has to represent who they are and how they approach business, life, etc. So what I do is I have the plan is, for instance, 5 tweets a day. It's kind of like my basic package. 5 tweets a day spread out through the day, and they're original tweets, a mixture of 2 sales tweets, 2 business news, sector news, and then 1 sort of community entertainment tweet, so to speak, while staying within the tone of the business. And then between those tweets, I target five new accounts that might be potential appropriate potential clients for that business. And that's my basic strategy. So I kind of tweet roughly on the hour, just for my own, to make it easier for me to keep track of when I have to jump in and manage the interactions, get involved. Like, for instance, if I'm targeting, if my client is a business to business, has a business to business
Twitter profile.
Gone. Yeah. Profile. Product. Done.
Yeah.
If my client has a business to business product, I would then, and say they're Irish based, I would then go to business news accounts, business resource accounts, and look at their followers. Okay. and target basically their followers are all potential clients of this business to business product account. So it's about, and it's light interaction. That's what I do. Light interaction is congratulating them if they're celebrating something in a tweet, a new business client or a new win, asking questions about interesting parts of their basically, about interesting things that they've talked about their own product. Basically, like as if you're in a networking.
So like you would face-to-face.
A face-to-face networking, how you have a normal conversation with a normal person. It's the same thing on Twitter.
Yeah. And with those conversations, then you could lead those into Twitter chats. So just explain to our audience what a Twitter chat is.
Sure. Well, there are a few Twitter chats around still these days. And it's a collection of personal and business Twitter users who gather at a pre-specified hour in the week to talk about a particular topic. And they do this by all using and monitoring a predefined hashtag, word or phrase. And obviously the topic of Twitter chats are as varied as there are interests that people have. But obviously for our purpose, general business networking chats are the ones that would be of interest potentially to your listeners. And for instance, there is Louth Chat on a Tuesday night in Ireland. There's Belfast Hour on a Thursday night in Northern Ireland, and then there's USA Biz Party on a Tuesday afternoon, or early evening, our time, obviously. And then there are some specific ones. I don't know if Ed Chat is still going.
Yes,
Ed Chat IE is still going.
Yep, still going.
It's a very, that's just an example of a specific one, and there are many, many more. And the best way really to engage with these is to go in with an open mind. Because I have found that people who are against the idea of it, if they approach that chat with that idea, they're going to have a neutral or negative experience. So it's basically, go ahead.
So when a business is starting to adopt different social media platforms, where do you find the importance of a Twitter account and taking part in Twitter chats important? Is it as important to a startup as it is to an established business, or is it something they need to do right from the get-go?
Well, I find that Twitter chats are good if you drop in kind of not quite sporadically, but maybe drop in once a month.
Okay.
Because there is a large turnover. There's a few core people who are each Twitter chat's sort of regulars, and then there's a turnover. So that turnover means that if you drop in like 2 weeks in a row, you're roughly going to get maybe the same sort of people in there. But if you drop in once a month, they're more effective. You hit a more diverse amount of people taking part.
Good tip. And are Twitter chats still relevant today?
Now, there's a good question. I feel they are. I feel they are if they're run properly. And some are run properly. That's the point. For instance, like Melanie, you said Ed Chat IE is still going, and that has been going for many years. And it is again, it's a specific topic. But the business networking ones, I find if they're not tended properly, they don't really gain traction, or they can be very repetitive.
Yeah. So if a business was wanting to start a Twitter chat, it would be, just hard graft at the start to get people interested and to get people involved. And then after maybe a few years, it would start sort of running itself. Would that?
Well, okay. If it's set up properly from the get-go, you can probably have it self-sustaining within a year. Okay. So when I started representing my clients on Twitter, as I said, in 2012, the growth of general business networking chats was actually more organic and easier than it is now. People were more open to engaging with them. And all that needed to be done was to create a hashtag and the account, to make a bit of noise, and you will attract a following. And because people were more open to Twitter. But these days, It is different because people have become a little more wary of engaging with strangers on Twitter because the levels of abuse that many users have experienced.
I wonder why that's come up as conversation. Now, before we go down that little rabbit hole, does hashtags and Twitter chats work better with influencers or without influencers?
Now, that was exactly my next point. In light of that, here are a couple of shortcuts that I would suggest if you wanted to kickstart a Twitter chat. So first, work off the back of a very successful event or topic that has been in the news, and where there's an appetite for continuing that conversation. So that would be a bit of a scramble because you'd have to wait for something, or
hop on a hashtag basically.
Or create a hashtag hop on a hashtag if you wish. Create one about a burning topic that people are talking about. A little tricky. Second one is launch a Twitter chat spearheaded by an appropriate influencer with an active following, which can help things. Thirdly, coordinate with a number of experts, or as many experts as you can in the field of the topic. And alert them to the launch of an upcoming Twitter chat about their sector.
Right, that's a good one.
So there's three ways to kickstart it, or at least kind of your pre-planning. My next suggestion kind of clashes with the last point I made.
Oh well,
which is, but it runs maybe parallel to it. If you can get a business to actually host the chat and pay you to run it for you, pay you to run it for them, then you get a bit of breathing room and it'll give you the time that you need to build up, and it'll remove week-to-week pressure of trying to get people actually into the chat and keep the chat running. Now, obviously, there is a lot of work to be done on the day of the Twitter chat.
Yeah.
Okay, to obviously tell people it's on, tell people what you're talking about. So I have obviously run one myself for a number of years.
Are you happy to tell us which one it is?
No, I think we'll leave that.
Oh, okay. Leave our listeners in suspenders.
I haven't talked to my client about this, so.
Well, if our listeners want to try to guess, that would be.
Yeah, send in to us which one you think.
Answers on a postcard.
Yeah, well, maybe a tweet would be better, but yeah.
Good point. Okay, so what I do, I'll just run through what I do on the day of a Twitter chat is
go for it.
Schedule all the tweets during the day telling people that there are that the chat is on this evening. Tell them, for instance, tell them who the featured business is. Now, as with general business networking Twitter chats, it's good to have a featured business each time. And actually, if you can, it's not a prerequisite, but if you can, start with offering. And it would be great if you could start with from the very first one with offering a pretty decent prize.
Oh, okay.
Because if you start with that, then your audience expects it, and then featured businesses will be more likely to offer it.
So they're only in it for the prize.
They're not only in it for the prize, but it's a great anchor, and it's a great way of maintaining a long-term Twitter chat.
And I have to say, on that point, I have won a prize on a Twitter chat. It was a nice
night.
No, it wasn't. It was a nice night away in a local hotel.
Oh, very nice.
So, and it happened to be that I got it just before my anniversary. So it was free anniversary gift.
Finally.
Your stars aligned. Very good.
They did.
Okay, so basically I schedule all the tweets leading into the hour, and then on the hour or throughout the hour, I schedule tweets every 6 minutes, if not more, maybe throw in a couple of extra ones. So I've taken the pressure off tweeting about what we're talking about, so that I have more time to actually engage with with the people who are taking part.
And that's the point that you keep coming back to, engage, be relevant.
Oh, completely. It's the magic of Twitter, let's be honest.
Yeah.
The only downside to Twitter, I find, and this is when I'm explaining it to other social media, people who are there for social media classes or lessons or whatever, is it's a very hungry beast. You've got to put in a lot of time and effort into Twitter to make it effective.
Well, that's true. But the more time you put in, the more you're going to get out of it.
Amen.
And that's the bottom line
as well. That's very true too. I mean, Ben, we could go on and we could talk for another hour about
we could.
That means hour in normal English.
Hour.
Right? We could talk forever about Twitter and the Twitter chats and stuff. Just sum up. Why should people be on Twitter?
Okay, because people should be on Twitter because that's where many of your customers are.
Good point.
That's a really good point.
Right. So if you're not on Twitter, get on Twitter. If you need to get on Twitter, contact Ben. You will find him on Twitter. We'll put his links into the comments below. And Ben, it's been great having you. Thank you so much for agreeing to be on our podcast.
I've really enjoyed it. And I must say, congratulations on the Monday Morning Marketing Podcast. I've listened to every episode and I always look forward to the next one, except maybe this one. Oh.
we I don't even know how to finish after that. No, you have to listen to this one as well, Ben.
Of course I will.
Any last words, Melanie?
Last words. No. My last words are, you've introduced a concept and strategies I hope people will adopt on a regular basis from here on. And if you do, make sure you tag us and make sure you tag Ben. And, we're always here to help.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks very much again for joining us. And we will be back next week for more Monday Morning Marketing. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.